We are still here in Bandera, just hanging out and relaxing a little bit. But today, we're going to go down to a city that's near and dear to our heart, San Antonio, Texas.
First up, while we've been there a couple times, we've never actually been to the Missions, which is the National Historical Park, and to my knowledge, it's the only UNESCO World Heritage Site in Texas. So let's go check that out.
So it's important to note that the Missions of San Antonio National Historic Park is not where the Alamo is. So the Alamo is down by the Riverwalk in downtown, and this is a completely separate thing, and they are actually nowhere near each other. So if you come here looking for the Alamo, or you go to the Alamo thinking there's more, do the other thing next. So it's important to note that all of these different churches or missions are separate. So there's like 4 main locations. One of them has a visitor center. The rest of them are just kind of scattered. So you can walk the whole thing. It's like 10 miles. Or you can drive to a site, wander around, drive to a site, wander around, which is what we're doing. So we are currently at the San Jose mission, which we thought was where the visitor center is. It's not. But behind us, that white building is the original church. Our bad, it's San Juan. We're at the San Juan church. So that was the main church. What's actually interesting is the church itself was supposed to be food storage, and it ended up becoming the chapel in that area. And then this area here is the convent, essentially. So this is where the original housing for the priests, the friars that led the mission, all start here. The construction of this building started in 1740, and there's workrooms. This is just where they kind of lived and did everything. So this little building was actually never finished. It was supposed to be the new church. Now, why they left/abandoned, I don't actually know.
It's interesting that when you look at this and see like the size that it's so small compared to like today's churches. They say like 200 people lived here, and that's the whole church, from that wall to that wall. And so it's just interesting how small it was compared to what we think of today as a church.
Another kind of interesting thing is if you see these stones in the ground, when they were doing archaeological digs, they found some of the native people's remains. So they're actually burial sites. That's why this is all locked off. That's a plane. Looks like an old World War II thing. That's kind of fun, actually. But anyway, so there's one there, one on the far side, and there's actually one just outside there. But it's why these areas are actually roped off. You could get to that one, but I don't think you're supposed to.
No, they say the ground is sacred. That's why we're not allowed to walk on it.
No touchy. So this whole mission was established in 1731, which is crazy to think back that far, which if you're European, you're going, that's nothing. But here, it's a lot. So, all right, we are headed to the next one, and we don't know which one it is because we don't really know where we are on a map anymore. So we made it to Mission Espada now, which is the southerly most. We started in kind of a one up, so we came down, and now we're going to start going north. One of the cool things is about all these missions is they all lead right up to the Alamo, which obviously everybody knows the Alamo. This one, the church itself inside this mission still serves as a church for the community. So they're actually still actively using this one, which is really cool. All right, so Mission Espada. It's probably the most preserved church we've seen so far, which we've only seen 2, so that's not like saying very much. But it's also the most fortified, and I say that in terms of like they actually had perimeter defenses in place. Now, all of these missions were founded by the Spanish, because if you don't know, Six Flags Amusement Park didn't just come up with their name for the fun of it. There's been Six Flags that have ruled over the state of Texas, and so they were more they seemed more concerned about attacks here than they did at the other one, and maybe that's just because I don't know why. To be completely honest with you, maybe that not a lot of it survived at the other one that it did here. Okay, we consulted the map since we're a little turned around, and after Espada, this would be like if you were going to do this whole like tour of the missions, I would say start here and then work your way up. But we are now going to Mission San Jose. So there's only 2 more left before the Alamo. And yes, we're going to go to the Alamo. We're not going to go inside of it because it costs money. You can't film. And we've been there a couple times now. So San Jose.
Okay, so we said that Espada looked more like fortified or, things like that. And it was the southernmost, and so it was most vulnerable to attacks. But now we are at San Jose, and this one is considered the most beautiful.
So far, this is by far the largest. I have nothing to back that up except for my visual eyeballs. But it seems like the largest. But I also know like the Alamo, there's not much left of it.
Right.
And for the grounds, it's really just the church and then a little bit of the gardens behind it, and that's it. So this one feels more intact.
And I get it. She pretty.
All right, well, that is wrapping up. By far, this is, again, visually the largest. And I understand why they say it's the prettiest now. One of the cool things on the outside of the church, some of that coloring was actually original. So a lot of these things, they've had to kind of obviously maintain them and patch them and do some things. And sometimes they will go back with what looked original so you had a better idea. But in this one's case, it seems very well preserved from back in the 1780s or something like that.
Started in the 1720s, but yes,
1720s.
throughout the 1700s.
There's a cactus on the roof. ADHD for the win. Okay, so that's wrapping up this one. Now we're going to Mission Concepcion. What does that mean in Spanish? Oh, I got hit in the head with a leaf.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say conception. We'll find out about that.
I didn't know this was this kind of a mission.
I think the cactus on the roof is like a new defense mechanism.
Like, I was going to say, like, they grow grass on the roof in the Nordic countries as, like, this is just...
You need fewer people with guns if you have cactus on the roof.
Jump over that, sucker. Mission Concepcion. It seems to be the smallest, but apparently this is the best preserved, and so best preserved mission because all of the other churches and missions, their bell towers actually have fallen and they've been reconstructed at some point. This one's never fallen. So that's why they're saying this is one of the better preserved. Also, something that's kind of interesting is this whole thing is a world, how do you say it?
The UNESCO World Heritage Site.
It's the whole thing is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, which is really cool. So, we said all that stuff at the beginning, but so it's named after, there's a painting in there from the 1610s?
1691.
1691, I was close-ish. And it depicts the Immaculate Conception. There's a couple other paintings as well in there that are all from the 1600s, which is crazy. So
One from 1592, St. Francis Assisi.
Which we've been to that church.
We have.
It's in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Check out that video. It's one of my favorites, and nobody's seen it. I'm not bitter at all. Okay, we're hungry.
Yes.
And our last stop is a rather complicated one.
Yes.
Because it's the one you know.
So let's get some food before we have to park Big Booty Judy in downtown San Antonio.
Because we're going to the Alamo. All right, so the last location in our little missions tour that we're doing across San Antonio is the Alamo. It's obviously very famous for Davy Crockett, all the stories. It's exactly what you think it is. There's not a lot of it left, and I actually want to show you something real quick before we go over to the actual Alamo itself. That whole area used to be like, there was a Ripley's, believe it or not. It got really kind of grossly commercialized in like the bad way. And so, but one of our friends was telling us that they've been in the area for quite some time, construction noises, that they're reclaiming all of that, and now they're putting together essentially a, museums and all kinds of other stuff. That was the Alamo with a bunch of construction noise behind it. It's a little over commercialized, unfortunately, and that's the downside. It costs a lot to do a lot of things. Can't record inside, yada, yada, yada. So that's why we didn't do as much. Plus, we spent some money before on it, and we weren't going to do it again. So, but now we're going to go hang out on the Riverwalk for a little bit. Left the Alamo, we came down to the Riverwalk just to reminisce. This is actually where we got engaged. So, but now that that's over, we're gonna head and get some food because we're starving, and let's just say we have a favorite restaurant in San Antonio. Just so that you're aware why we didn't go into the Alamo, I made the comment just a second ago about it being a little over commercialized, and that's really the area around it. They're doing a better job of trying to reclaim some of that and get away from the gift shoppy, niche stuff. But it's $20 just to get in, $45 if you want to do a guided tour, and parking for only 2 hours cost us $30 plus tax. And now you kind of see what we're talking about. So we didn't spend a lot of time on the Riverwalk because it was very, very crowded. And we're hungry. It's queso time.
It's always crowded on the Riverwalk. That should be noted.
It is. Oh, we do got a tip though from Phil. So because of the Air Force Base, basic training is here at Lackland Air Force Base. On Saturday, all the families of the cadets come in. And then on Sunday, they kind of go crazy.
I think it was Friday and Saturday.
Oh, I'm sorry. Friday, they all come in.
Yeah.
Saturday, the families are gone and they go crazy because Sunday they get orders and get deployed. So, party.
So Friday and Saturday are going to be real busy.
Yeah, pretty much expect it and assume it's going to be that way. Or come on a Monday like us when it's still busy, just not as busy.
Right.
So, all right, you ready to get some food?
Queso.
Oh, boy.
This is Alamo Cafe, one of our very favorite, near and dear to our hearts, Tex-Mex food restaurants. We've been coming here for years with family and friends, and it really is some of our favorite food, but also like ambiance too.
We're going to leave the big camera here in the truck just so we don't bother a bunch of people, even though it's a really weird time to eat. Lunch, dinner? Dinner. We're eating dinner. All right. We're going to talk about Alamo Cafe in the truck. You want to know why?
Why?
Because there's chairs and I'm incredibly full. So let's start with Alamo Cafe is a chain restaurant. I think there's only two of them.
There's only two.
I think there used to be more for some reason.
No, they're both in San Antonio.
Yeah. We've actually never been to this one. The one we used to go to was on the north side. I forget the highway it was off of, but it was not very far from my aunt and uncle's house. And so, especially when we were getting ready to get married, my uncle did he performed the ceremony. And so we went to visit them a couple of times because of that. And Alamo Cafe was crime of opportunity. So, what'd you get?
I got the chicken fajita chimichanga. And that's how I feel right there. But we also started with queso. So, to me, this is like what Tex-Mex should taste like. You know, you get that in your head. This is not like the fanciest place, or some people are going to say it's not the best Tex-Mex, whatever.
Could care less if they say that.
But it's good.
It's very good. And I got the sour cream chicken enchiladas. I can't get sour cream chicken enchiladas anywhere else because of this place. The sauce is amazing. It's actually a little spicy, which is nice because most sour cream stuff's not spicy at all. And Mexican restaurants have they have a hard time doing the cream sauce without breaking it really bad. Yeah. So they get it right every single time. And it's tasty.
They do. I think I would get the quesadilla instead. I think I like the quesadilla a little bit better. And it's worth noting that this is nowhere near the Alamo.
No. Which is a bonus in my opinion.
For real.
So, with all of that being said, this is where we're going to leave you because we are going to go pass out and or play pickleball, which you probably will see in last week's video. That makes sense, doesn't it?
That makes no sense. You are so food drunk.
I am, and it's okay. At least it's not drunk. Yet. Thank you guys so much for watching. If it's your first time here, please consider subscribing. Also, if you'd like to see some inside information, make sure to not only follow us on Instagram and Facebook, but you can join the family and get really inside. That's our membership platform.
Frightening level of inside.
It is almost Halloween. All right, I'm food drunk. See you guys next week.
Bye, Mom.
Here I go.